57, but I'm a long distance. I cannot sprint.
Can't sprint.
No.
Okay.
I want to do everything like the mile and down last year, but I'm gonna do it.
All right, what we're going to do is we're going to take the stuff that you just learned
And forget about it.
and we're going to put it together with solving equations. Okay? This gets very complicated. Okay? Very detailed. But if you can do the other, you can do this.
I thought we were solving the equation.
They never had equal signs on them.
Ryan, what does that
Okay,
mean?
now we have equal signs and we have two sides of an equation. So there's all kinds of ways to do this, but the easiest way to do this is to look all the way across the equation and find the common denominator for the whole thing. Okay? So if you were to look at this, any guesses as to what the common denominator would be? Look at all the denominators. 3 times x minus 2 and 6 and x minus 2.
X minus
Say
2
X
Okay.
minus
X minus 2 is going to be part of it.
and
6.
And 6. Who said that?
me.
Me.
Good. Okay. So I want to take these and I want to change them into this. Now you know that you've gotten the common denominator if you can multiply these by something to get the denominator. Okay? So I've got that. So what would I have to multiply this one by to get 6 times x minus 2? 2. Okay, do you understand that? Because if I multiply the bottom by 2, that would give me the 6. So I want to multiply that by 2, so I get a 2x plus 2 right there. Okay, you with me? What about this one? What does it need?
Next one's
X minus 2. So then I do distributive property. That's going to give me a 5x squared minus a 10x, right? What is this one missing?
6.
The 6. So when I multiply the top and the bottom by 6, I get a 6 right there. Okay? Now, this side I can't, I kind of wrote it too big. This side I can't do much to right now. This side I can combine those. So I have 5x squared minus 10x plus 6 over 6 times x minus 2. Okay? Now, this is why I did a common denominator all the way across. How do I get rid of something that's on the bottom of a fraction? That's it. Multiply it. So if I multiply both sides times 6 times x minus 2, what I do to one side of the equation, I do to the other side of the equation. And these things cancel out.
Oh my gosh.
Okay? So now I'm left with just the top part, which I can solve. So I have 2x plus 2 equals 5x squared minus 10x plus 6. Notice you have 3 terms. You have an x squared. So I need to bring all this to one side of the equation. Okay, so I'm going to have 0 is equal to 5x squared. I subtract the 2, so that's going to be 12x. I subtract this 2, so that's going to be 4, right? If I did my math right. Now what do I do? Now I solve it.
But can't you do that already? Can you?
I couldn't solve it yet. Okay, I had to put it all together. Now I can factor it and solve it. I can use the quadratic formula and solve it. Remember solving these a while back? Okay, quadratic formula always works on it. Let's see if factoring works. You could even complete the square on this if you wanted to. Okay, so I've got a 2 and a 2 here. So that's going to give me this is going to give me a negative 10x. If I make that a negative, that's going to give me a negative 2x, and I'm going to get the negative 12x out of it. Okay? Y'all with me? All right. So all the stuff that you've already learned how to do, you have to put back into play here. So now I set both of them equal to 0. 5x minus 2 equals 0.
And then graph.
No, we don't have to graph it. Okay, so I'm going to get x is equal to 2/5, x is equal to 2. Now I am going to tell you, if you did graph it, that would be where it crosses the x-axis. Okay, it all fits together. Okay, so here is my
This is where I think the
2.
whole
possible answers. Now I need to go back and make sure that neither of these answers make any of this undefined. What would happen if I put a 2 right here?
0.
I would get a 0 on the bottom. And I cannot have a 0 on the bottom, so I mark that one out. Okay? Now you can go back and check that, but as long as it gives it a definition, in other words, it doesn't make it undefined, that one should work. Okay?
So,
So-
is the problem, like, how do you, what's the answer? Just X?
The answer is x is equal to 2 over 5.
Okay.
Okay? Because that would be the value for x that makes this true. Okay? Now, if I plug the 2 back in, all of a sudden I've got things that don't exist because I'm going to have a 1 over 0, which I cannot have. That's undefined. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Let's do another one. I'm going to show you a shortcut on the next one. Okay, there wasn't a shortcut on this one, but I will show you a shortcut on the next one.
This is gonna take so long.
Or you can do it the long one. Okay? All right, if I were to do it the long way, what would I do?
R minus 5 R plus 2.
All right, long way. I need a common denominator, don't I, between both sides? Yes? Okay, what is the common denominator?
R minus 5 R plus 2.
This is not the shortcut yet, okay?
I can't read cursive. What does that say?
I'm sorry, long way, okay? All right, what is this side missing?
R minus 5.
The r minus 5. What is this side missing?
R plus 2.
The r plus 2. Okay, so over here I've got 35r, or 7r minus 35. And over here I've got 6r plus 12. What's my next move? How do I get rid of what's on the bottom? If I have the same thing on the bottom, what can I do?
Multiply the thing. Let's say.
What I do to one side, I do to the other side. So if I multiply both sides by that, then what happens?
It's over 1.
All that goes away, and I get rid of the bottom, right? So then I have 7r minus 35 equals 6r plus 12. Now the good thing here is I don't have anything squared, so this is going to be way easier to solve for. So I'm going to subtract the 6r and get an r. I'm going to add the 35 and get a 47. Now as long as that doesn't make that undefined, I know that's the answer.
Favorite number.
Do what?
It's my favorite number.
It's your favorite number, 47? All right, so that's the long way. That's done just like what we just did the other one. Here's the shortcut way.
Give up. Big letters.
The shortcut is just a guess
Okay.
answer.
Now, this shortcut, shortcut doesn't work on everything. But as long as I just have two fractions with an equal sign between them, I can cross product.
Oh, like butterfly.
Hold on. Remember when I had like
Butterfly.
2/3 equals n over 7? And I go this times this and this times this. Remember the cross product stuff? That's what I'm going to do here. This times this times this. Because I just have two fractions. The problem that I did before, I couldn't do this on because I had a fraction plus another fraction on one side. Okay, so if I can get it down to that, then on one side I have 7 times r minus 5. On the other side I have 6 times r plus 2. I distribute 7r minus 35, 6r plus 12. Notice, it's the same thing I have right here.
But does it work this way?
Yes, it does. So I subtract the 6r, get r, I add the 35, and I get a 47. Okay, definitely shorter that way. If you have two fractions, yes.
For the long way, when you're multiplying the r plus 2 and r minus 5, so don't you have to multiply the top by whatever you multiply the bottom by?
No, because because I have two sides of an equation. Okay, the other stuff that I was doing, I was all working on one side of the equation. There was no equal sign, so I had to multiply it by 1. But remember that rule that says if you do it to one side and you do it the other side, it makes it even. Okay, so I did it here and I did it here, which works. Okay, and what you're doing is you're multiplying by whatever you divided by, which means it's going to go away. Okay, does that kind of make sense? All right.
Can I run the bathroom?
Sure.
Are you actually gonna run?
No.
Why'd you ask?
Alright, get that sub 12-second 100 meter.
All right, let's do one more up here.
Time to go and distribute
What time do we eat?
pretty soon,
We'll eat at night. What time is it?
12:18.
All right.
Could you have?
3:40.
Okay, we really got one or 12:30?
Let's go 12:30.
All right, what's the first thing I'm going to do here?
Find the common denominator.
You are, but I'm also going to factor that one. Because I
That's
can,
all.
I always factor if I can. So I can't do anything, and I'm going to, for the sake of space, I'm going to go ahead and factor it, okay? And I'm going to erase it and put it there. So it's 2 times 2r plus 1, okay? That's factored. So now I'm looking to see what the common denominator is. I can't do the shortcut, guys, because this, I've got 2 fractions, okay? It's only when I have a fraction equals a fraction that I can do the shortcut, okay? So what's the common denominator?
6 on 2r plus 1.
Maybe I'll do it in 2.
So if it was multiplied, could you mark out the 30s?
If it was multiplied, yeah. Are you with me? Is this making sense? All right. What is this one missing? How do I make that 2r plus 1 equal to that? I multiply by 6, okay? So top and bottom by 6, so that's going to give me 6r plus 12 right there. Okay, what is this one missing?
The
2 on 2r.
I'm missing a 2, and I'm missing a 2r plus 1, right? Okay, now that gets a little bit more complicated. If I wanted to, I could say I'm multiplying it by 4r plus 2. Okay, I just distributed that 2 there to make it easier here. So that's going to give me a 4r squared plus 2r. Okay? What is this one missing? 3. Okay? So far so good? Okay, so on this side, I have the 6r plus 12. This side, I'm going to have a 4r squared plus 2r plus 9 over 6 times r, 2r plus 1. Okay, what do I do next?
multiplied.
By
6 on 2r plus 1.
6 times 2r plus 1
Yes.
and 6 times 2r plus 1. When you do that, it gets rid of all that. Okay? So then it's almost like I'm starting over with a new problem. Now what do?
Solve. Take it over to the
I gotta bring it all to one side because I got a squared on it. Okay, if I didn't have a squared on it, I didn't have to do it that way. But because I got a squared on it,
Why don't we take the square root?
okay, so that's gonna be minus 4r, and that's gonna be minus 3, right?
Probably.
I think that's right. nothing, I can't factor out anything. So I have to factor, or use the quadratic formula on it, okay? Guys, don't forget, you've got the quadratic formula in your calculator. Okay, so if you wanted to, you could use the quadratic formula and just plug in the A, the B, and the C. Do you remember putting it in your calculator?
No.
I'm pretty sure it's in there, isn't it?
I
Y'all
don't know.
check on your calculator.
Where?
It's all
it-
mine.
It was-
This is a new one.
Well,
The
it
quadratic
is.
formula, didn't you
But
put
I
it in there?
forgot. It was such a long time ago.
How do you
No,
find?
We,
Did you not put it in
Pretty
there?
sure we did.
I think we did
No, we
too.
didn't.
No, we
Pretty
didn't.
We
sure.
only have distance in the front.
Yes.
No, no, you're thinking something else.
Well, we
I thought we
might go
did,
ahead and
'cause
put
we-
it in there.
Yeah,
Cause I remember you said we'll
Not
meet it down
today.
the road maybe.
Yeah,
that's what you said. You said-
we'll work on, we won't put it in today, but
Oh.
I'll write myself a note that we'll put it in on Tuesday. Okay, cause that'll make this stuff so much easier, because literally all you'll have to do is plug in the A, the B, and the C, and it will spit out your two answers, okay? Which means if you have trouble factoring it, that takes away the need for that when you get down to this point. Okay, so let's say we don't have it in there, we really don't have time today to do it, so let's do, when we factor it, we would need that to be negative and that to be positive, okay? 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 1 is 3, and that's gonna give me a -6 and a +2. When I set these equal to 0, I'm gonna get a -1/2, and I'm gonna get a +3/2. Y'all with me on that? Do I need to show you that, or you're with me? Okay, I set it equal to 0 and solve. So then I have to go back and say, do either one of those make these undefined? If I plugged a -1/2 in right here, what would happen? 2
Bye-bye.
times -1/2 is gonna be a -1. What's -1 plus 1?
Zero.
0. That puts a 0 on the bottom.
Shame it.
I can't do that.
Shame.
Okay, if I plugged in the 3/2, it works here. Okay, I don't even care what the value is, as long as it works and doesn't give me a 0. Then I'm gonna assume it works in the problem. Okay, so my answer is just that.
I'll be sure.
Yes, very short.
Close that in, probably. What if both don't work?
Then it-
You're not gonna have that.
How you
What do
know?
we do?
But what if we did, what would we do if we did it?
Then you would say empty set.
Or your student.
All right, I'm gonna give you,
Homework.
no, I'm gonna give you an easier one to do.
No, that was easy. No, give us a harder one. That was pretty easy.
You did this yesterday. And you
We're gonna warm up on this one.
Oh, like that.
Okay?
Don't die there.
You're short.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Crucify him. He's a wizard.
All right, solve for t.
Oh, why T?
We'll change it to x. I don't know.
That was it.
Dude. Yeah.
T.
No shortcut.
Yes, sure.
Well, actually, maybe.
You know? Is it?
I use shortcuts.
Yeah,
Think, maybe.
it's pretty
Okay.
easy.
Yeah.
That one's not bad. That's why this is the warm up.
Watch me still get it home.
Yeah, just one, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
though.